Hello and welcome back to Musician vs. Musician, a podcast/gig where every week we talk about music in some shape or form. We've lost the plot of any kind of structure for this. We just can't do what we want. There aren't enough of you listening
for it
to be complaining. Yeah.
So we just do what we want.
Apart from to our Slipknot episodes, which...
yeah, because Corey Taylor is the only person that gains any traction in alternative media.
Goes up every week. It's still going up. Other things go up too, but
Slipknot is consistent. Yeah.
People really liked that comparison we did between All Out Life and Unsainted. So, well, that's something, I guess.
Yeah.
Notoriety for comparing two songs.
It's also a bit of a worry, though, given that that's quite probably Slipknot's last album, that we will have no further success in the podcast because no one cares anymore.
I think they'll do one more.
You reckon one more?
Yeah. I have it in my head that the next one they will announce as the final chapter or whatever.
Yeah.
It won't be very many more.
Yeah, they can't be doing many more. They really can't.
No. And then maybe they'll reunite in 10 years.
Maybe, yeah. Probably. Let's be real.
Or maybe they won't do an album for a while. Maybe it will be in 10 years and they'll be like an elderly Slipknot.
That would be very funny.
Yeah.
They should, they probably play it up too. That'd be funny.
That
Old people
cool.
clothes.
Yeah.
I'd go and watch that. I probably wouldn't bother outside of that.
So anyway, this week is by looking at the title, it's a one person week. The man in question has been in a few bands, but I wanted to focus on him because he seems to be the driving force of both bands. We'll get into it. So Ronald Joseph Radke was born on December 5th, 1983 in Las Vegas. Did you know that?
It's really weird hearing that someone was born in Las Vegas. That sounds really wrong.
Why?
Because you just don't think about it, do you?
Well, it explains why he's such a performer.
I mean, performer is one word.
So this figure that we're talking about, Ronald Radke, or Ronnie Radke, to his friends and fans, and me, and everyone. He's just Ronnie Radke.
Yeah, it was really upsetting me that you were calling him Ronald, actually.
Well, he's a slightly controversial figure for reasons we'll get into, but I actually have read a lot in this report, and I'm going to defend the shit out of him. Okay. Not for all his actions, he's done bad things.
Everyone's done bad things.
But, as we'll get into, what's important is that Ronnie Radke seems to have repented for his sins and not wish to repeat same mistakes.
That makes sense.
So, again, we'll get into it. Anyway, Radke's mother abused drugs and was absent from his childhood, which he has said caused him to have a general lack of respect towards women, which is very, very apparent from his music.
Also, that's not how this works. If you're sexist, you're just sexist.
Well, Eminem has the same reason. And I think a lot of people must. When you are exposed to a negative person from a very early age and they become your entire representation of that gender, you're going to have some ingrained sexism towards them, misogyny.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens with races, right? If all you're exposed to is negative representations of said person in the media or in your life, you're going to be a little hate-filled.
Yeah, I've just got no time for you.
Yeah.
Do your best. Be better. Know that your opinions are not okay.
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said that there are reasons, and we can understand those reasons.
There's always reasons.
And then, because we can understand those reasons, we can combat them. This isn't the kind of, nothing-y opinion where it's just like, I hate them because they're different. This is a reason where you can actually break it down and then change that person's view, and that's good.
Yeah, but most people are based on like that. I don't like gay people because they're wrong, but secretly I really like men. There's all,
Well, there's controversial opinion there. All homophobes are
gay. Yeah, that is obviously what I meant. Every single homophobe, you are gay. Or bi, it's not up for debate.
Oh, this podcast hasn't been controversial for a while. We're back on it. This is the fire that I wanted in the podcast. So anyway, He said later in life that he's forgiven her and they're friends now, which is good, I guess. But also don't be a shitty parent. Any parent out there, be a good parent.
Yeah.
That's my controversial take.
I don't think that's controversial.
Radke learned to play piano and guitar in his first band. He began by playing Blink-182 songs. The first song he could play was Damn It. Remember Damn It?
Vaguely, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, actually, yeah, no.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
get it from that.
There you go. He formed several bands while in high school and ran away from home to play in his first band.
Oh, that's very rock and roll.
Do you know what his first band was called?
Well, I can see it quite a large in bold name written on the screen where you're reading your notes off
That's
of.
a different one.
Okay, then no, I don't know.
Yeah, it was called 3.0.
Ah, okay, I never in a billion years would have gotten that.
Yeah. Well, it is in fact on the screen I'm reading from, but
It's
still.
too far away.
According
We're
to
in the
Radke.
separate black rooms, remember?
Oh, yeah.
There's a screen between
Well,
us.
how did you read the screen then?
Because I can see through walls, but not very well. That's
There's
why I
that-
can only read the big text.
There is that one hole where you can put your eye through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said they sounded exactly like Blink-182. That's very relatable. Who hasn't formed a Blink-182 basically cover band? I know I literally have. So, well, not been. I didn't form one. I was part of one.
Were you actually?
I had to cover for the lead singer.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me about that now.
Yeah, they were Blink-182 and Red Hot Chili Peppers cover band.
I was in a band that was basically an Arctic Monkeys cover band. That's kind of the same
It's
kettle
all
of fish.
indie bands.
Yeah, it's the deal, isn't it? Yeah.
Sorry, all indie bands, but I'm really sick of the Arctic Monkey sound likes.
Yeah.
Some of you do it well. Some of you do it really well. I'm bored.
Yeah. Do you, boo? I just
yeah.
don't care.
So they played a few shows, the 3.0 band, such as Chain Reaction and The Huntridge, all in Las Vegas. And then after the band kind of fizzled out, Radke moved back in with his dad, re-entered school, and then dropped out again. According to him, he just couldn't, for some reason, pay attention. He just daydreamed about everything else. And what musician can't relate to that?
Yeah.
Which brings us to the big section of his life, Escape the Fate. In high school, Ronnie and a man called Max Green were close friends. In 2004, some dude called Brian Money was looking for a vocalist. He contacted Max, who referred him to Radke, and they started sorting stuff out. They found a drummer called Robert Ortiz, and Escape the Fate was formed. They got a rhythm guitarist. They began to play in the post-hardcore scene. Now you know Escape the Fate.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of tracks, not loads, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, they actually were signed really quickly.
That doesn't surprise me.
Early 2006, so they've only been together a couple of years, probably a year and a half. And they won a contest judged by My Chemical Romance.
Really?
Yeah, which is how they got signed.
That's funny.
How crazy is it? I'm trying not to say crazy. How weird is it that could happen back in 2006?
Yeah, because, like, I haven't... Right, so I'm not the most familiar with My Chemical Romance, so I'm not really sure where their timetable, or their timeline, rather, was then.
Mm-hmm.
So...
They're reforming now, aren't they?
Yeah, I just shared that. They're, like, headlining Download Japan or something.
Do you care?
Honestly, I couldn't give a shit.
See, my drummer is really into these guys and was like, oh, I'm so hyped, they're so nostalgic. But I missed that nostalgic bubble. They hold nothing for me.
No, they don't. I think it was probably a bit late for me.
Yeah.
Slash a bit early for you.
I've only listened to one of their songs.
Yeah, I've heard the Welcome to the Black Parade. And
Yes.
Wasn't there... There was also another one on Guitar Hero, I think, maybe?
I don't remember it, but I've heard the Black Parade. I think it's pretty good. Good emo stuff. But they don't hold any nostalgia for me. I did not listen to them growing up, so don't have an opinion.
Yeah, it's not... I don't dislike them, I just, you know...
Yeah.
Well, like, realistically, people are going to these gigs for, like, this is my old school emo days music, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you, I didn't really have that stage.
Oh, I had an emo phase.
But it just was not,
It just wasn't My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
That was other stuff. I was a bit more of a punk emo anyway.
Yeah, that's... I'd say mine is a bit more like that as well.
Yeah.
It was less like, I'm sad, more like, I'm sad and I hate you.
So anyway, 2006, they recorded their EP, There's No Sympathy for the Dead, and they started recording some songs for their debut album, Dying Is Your Latest Fashion. Which
That's
we're
quite
gonna...
a good name, actually.
Well, it's actually a lyric from Situations.
Is it?
Dying is your latest fashion.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you think I knew any of the words?
No,
I
of
just
course
used to
not.
laugh at the tone, because you'd
Yeah.
always just say situations over and over.
Situations.
Yeah, like, you still haven't stopped doing that. I mean, when
Yeah,
did we
it's
start
still
playing that,
funny.
a year ago? Like,
Still funny.
it is
Anyway.
still funny, I agree.
Dying is your latest fashion, and we're going to listen to a song from it called The Webs We Weave.
The webs you weave, we are caught in the fame. Passion's dead, the life you led is drowned in your shame.
That was The Webs We Weave. What did you think?
It definitely sounds like an Escape the Fate song. That's about as good as I've got, because to me, all the Escape the Fate songs, they do sound very much so like they're from the same band, I can tell.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's what you'd want, right?
yeah, I mean, that's not a criticism in the slightest. It just is. Like,
They are, I get what you're saying. They have a sound.
yeah, they just... I probably wouldn't go as far as to say their songs are formulaic, because I don't know them well enough to make that comment, but I can see their structure.
No, I don't think this is necessarily negative, but I do think there is a formula. I have listened to them enough,
Yeah.
as well as Falling in Reverse. They are driven by Ronnie Radke, and he is a vocalist primarily.
So it's a vocalist structure then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that typical kind of vocalist structure, and he writes fucking catchy ass tunes. This bro, every single one of his fucking songs is a fucking banger. He's a good lyricist as well. I've had arguments about this. He is a good lyricist. He knows what he's writing. The images that he can create are very, very clear. He has great wordplay, which is something new that I'm trying to expand into, because I've been quite on the nose with my previous lyrics. I think
You struggle with anything that could be perceived as funny in a song.
Yeah. I'm
So
trying to-
if wordplay could come across as funny, you're like,
Yeah, I think wordplay can come across as funny
Yeah.
sometimes, just because like little puns.
Is
where
it
you're
is
like,
funny, isn't it? Yeah.
But I really liked that line that's in an upcoming one of my songs. I'm not plugging it, but you remember the glass half empty line that you liked?
Oh, vaguely.
Yeah, you specifically pointed out to me and said I really like that line.
Yeah, it's just I
Yeah.
don't have the lyrics in front of me
No,
now. I can't
I
remember what
don't
they
need
were.
to recite
Yeah.
them, but yeah, that kind of stuff. Trying to expand into it. He's really good. He's a good lyricist. Anyway, let's move on. Escape the Fate is still going. May 2006.
Are they?
Actually, yes, they are.
Yeah, because I thought I'd seen some
Not
of
with
these.
Radke, which
Right.
we will
I
discuss.
see.
This isn't about Escape the Fate though. We could do an episode on Escape the Fate. They are an interesting band. They have developed past Radke's influence. They're still going. They've got a great following. They're big.
Yeah, they are big, yeah.
They aren't as big as Radke's second band, which we'll get into.
No,
Here we go.
they're not, but yeah.
We're coming up to it. All right, so May 2006, 22-year-old Radke starts a fight. He starts a fight.
Okay.
Yeah. And during the fight, one of Radke's friends shot one of the opposite
One of
gang's
the baddies.
members. Well, who's a goodie, who's a baddie?
Exactly.
And killed him and wounded another one. Radke was arrested, charged with murder, but the district attorney declined to prosecute him despite his confession. So he confessed. He was like, I started this fight, not, I was a bad man, but I didn't shoot
Yeah,
him.
I wasn't the one that actually killed him. Yeah, one of my dad's friends had a very, very similar experience, and he also didn't do serious time.
Yeah.
Like, just because it's, like, because you were there doesn't make you the same person as the one who shot and killed two people, or whatever it was, you know?
So Radke was charged for his involvement in the death. Did I mention the guy's name?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, Michael Allen Cook. Very sad. That is an 18-year-old man who did not get to live a full life, which sucks.
That does suck.
And one of Radke's friends, Colquitt, that's his last name, committed suicide before he could stand trial. Radke pled guilty in 2008 to battery with substantial bodily harm in relation to the death, and subsequently was ordered to be placed on probation for 5 years. He was ordered to pay $92,000 to Cook's mother, which, again, comparatively not a lot, but she probably got more than that. Not that money can make up for...
No, it doesn't make up for a death, but also they I think when they get in people specifically to pay the debt, it tends to be based on the amount of money you have. Like, how much money do you have? We'll take however much we think is apt to make you struggle or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, Radke violated his probation. He was made to serve 2.5 years in prison, and he did so.
That's what happens if you violate your probation, I
Yep.
suppose.
But Radke also got fired on top of that
Well,
from
yeah.
Escape the Fate, which
I
makes
think
sense.
that would, yeah.
Which brings us to the next section of Radke's life, post-prison. He actually had this band in mind for a while. It was called From Behind These Walls, originally.
Huh.
Yeah, and he wanted to do it for a while because he had personal issues with Escape the Fate, which makes sense to me, I guess. There were probably a lot of personalities there, based on the fact that they fired him and kept going and were successful.
That means
They had a vision, there were personalities involved. And Radke, on the other hand, as we'll explore throughout this section, with his band Falling in Reverse, has just experimented with whatever he wants to do. He runs Falling in Reverse. There are people involved. I can go through the lineup if you want. There have been a lot of changes.
Yeah, I believe we've discussed this off mic, that it's like one of those bands that might technically have members, and they have a lot of circulation of members, but there's always
It's
that
Radke's
sort of crux.
baby.
Yeah.
So they released their first single, Raised by Wolves, in 2010, and then their album, The Drug in Me Is You, in 2011, which I haven't clicked to listen to anything yet, because I think things get... it's a very Escape the Fate sounding album,
Uh-huh.
so I don't think we need to... Pardon me. I don't think we need to explore it,
Fair enough.
but the next one is pretty fun, so I'll put it on in a minute.
Is this the song that you sing all the time?
There are a couple
By
songs
any
that I
chance?
sing all the time, yeah. On May 1st, 2012, Radke was accused of striking his then-girlfriend, Sally Watts, and was arrested after he failed to make an appearance at any of the court hearings. So he was
That will
charged
do it.
with misdemeanor count of corporal injury and misdemeanor false imprisonment. He was released on $30,000 bail. God. Yeah, 2014. He pled something called nolo contendere, which I don't actually know what that means.
No, I have no idea.
No, I should have looked that up. I
Probably.
forgot. Completely skipped my mind. My bad. So, yeah. Not a great... Do you want some more controversy, though?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
bring it.
September 29, 2012, Radke was performing part of Falling in Reverse set for Fest Evil, which, stupid name, but
I think
also
that's really funny.
the best name?
It is, yeah. That's
Uh,
how you know it's a good name, when it's the worst name, but also the best name.
Exactly. So it's a punk rock festival for Six Flags Great Adventures Fright Fest event. For some reason, he thought it would be cool to throw his microphone stand into the audience,
Are you okay?
and he injured a 16-year-old
Obviously he did. Like,
Yeah.
what did you think was gonna happen?
girl and a 24-year-old man.
Yeah.
He was charged with assault and aggravated assault and was released on $25,000 bail.
Dude,
He has
use your
publicly
brain before you do things.
he's publicly apologized. He said his actions weren't in anger. He just thought
You just didn't think, did
he
he?
just thought he was being a cool rock star.
He was just like, yeah, I'm on stage and all these people love me, yeah, throw the
Yeah.
mic stand. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, dumb. So those are the main controversies. There's another one. I don't have the year for this one. I might have written it down. No, I don't have the year for this one, but I can tell you about it anyway. So, Falling in Reverse were doing a big tour, and they kicked a band off of it, and that has pissed off the fans of that band, obviously.
Yeah.
However, he has a good reason. Radke, as I've spoke about, or I might not have mentioned, heavily into the drug scene.
Oh, do we know what the other band was?
I can look it up very quickly.
Yep.
Okay, so it's the band I See Stars. He kicks them off, but he has a good reason. People are hating on him for this. Radke is an ex-drug user. He's a drug non-addict.
Yeah, and based on the timeline we've had so far, it makes sense that he has a complicated relationship with drugs.
Yes. And that band, I See Stars, were in trouble with the police for drugs and for alcohol. And he said, look, I can't be around it.
Yeah, because something bad's gonna happen.
It
yeah.
will.
Yeah, fair enough.
It will trigger me to relapse. And I think of all the reasons, that's the best reason to kick a band off a tour.
That's a surprisingly valid reason. I mean, it could have been silly, but I do see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I know as a band you get this expectation that it's all going to be fucking, oh yeah, it's sex and drugs and cool.
Yeah.
But also you need to keep yourself safe first and foremost.
Actions have consequences as well,
Yeah.
as Radke very much knows at this
He
point.
definitely does. He's done enough jail time. He's been out on bail enough. Like,
He, at this point in his life, has paid 92, 122,
about 150.
100, yeah,
Yeah.
just short of $150,000 in bail.
I think he's learned his lesson.
Or at least is working to have learned
Yeah.
his lesson.
Yeah.
So anyway, they released Fashionably Late in 2013. Another album produced by Epitaph Records, who's kept them around. It contains some absolute fucking bangers, mate. It's huge. It's a huge success. It peaked at number 17 in the Billboard charts. Became popular in Australia, the UK. Peaked at number 20 in the Australian album charts. Number 75 in the UK albums charts. Those are good numbers.
Those are good numbers. It gets a little bit, like, your perspective gets a little bit warped when you only look at big bands that had, like, 4 weeks at number one in every country, and it's like, yeah, that's a big deal, but also being on the charts at all is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, a really big deal.
Tool and Slipknot aren't the rule here.
Yeah, we're not, like, it. When you only listen to massive, massive bands, and you only follow massive, massive bands, your perspective of what is a big deal is quite warped.
But anyway, we got. There are a couple songs I could put on, and you've heard me sing one of them enough, so I'm going to put the other one on. So, I've forgotten the name of it. Oh goodness gracious, I didn't write it.
So is the one you sing a lot the game one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
fine.
life is like a video game.
Yeah, you've played that one a lot in my house too.
Yeah, it's Fashionably Late that we're going to listen to. The other song that I was talking about is called Game Over. But we're going to put on Fashionably Late.
Would sing along? I wanna be that guy that makes you sad, makes you cry again. Without a doubt, sorry about fucking all your friends.
What?
The absolute ego and confidence on this man to release a song like this.
Yes.
And not to think, like...
Maybe I should,
He's just like, you know what? It's gonna make people hate me, but who cares?
It's also why it makes me laugh that people put up posts like the one you found earlier called "Why Does Everyone Hate Ronnie Radke?" It's like, if you listened or seen anything he's done, like, I'm not saying he's not trying to grow or he's not being better, but he's done some dickish things, pal.
Yeah,
like,
he
some
has.
real dickish things.
He absolutely
and it
has.
is silly to not recognise that.
Yep. We've got 3 songs to listen to. I'm making you listen to a lot, but it's because I'm fascinated by this man. He does a lot of stuff. And we're getting into the points now where you can start telling me that there's variation in what they're doing.
Okay.
So, do you think that album sounded like an Escape the Fate album?
Tonally, I can see it. However, I would say off the back,
Musically.
not quite the same. No,
No.
it's good. It's like same energy, different vibes. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like, you can definitely tell that the core is still the same, but the execution is slightly different.
So, we're going to... you know what? I'm going to put on 3 songs in a row here. No break in between. And then we're going to talk about how you can hear an evolution and a change throughout these songs. Better or worse? Leia will decide her opinion. I have mine. So, we'll just come out after these 3 songs. We're going to listen to Fairweather Fans, which is a solo rap work.
Oh, no.
Exactly. I really like it. I think he's good.
Okay. I'm keeping an open mind.
Then we're going to listen to a song called Broken from the album Coming Home by Falling in Reverse, which came out in 2017. It is an excellent song with an amazing chorus that I look to whenever I'm thinking of good choruses. And then, 2019, they released a very controversial song, which you have heard before, but we'll refresh, called Drugs.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
So we will listen to these 3 songs, Fairweather Fans, Broken, and Drugs, and we'll see what everyone thinks.
I am not a monster, I am just a man. And I'm getting sick and fucking tired of these fans that expect me to be some perfect version of a fucking person. It is hurtful, I feel worthless, I just wanna feel I'm worth.
Running from something that's killing me, dealing with such an uncomfortable feeling, beginning to feel the hostility from my ability of slowly becoming a villain. I just want to thank all my fans, especially without you is a death to me. I don't consider myself a celebrity, but I'll be doing this shit till I'm 7.
Did you hear the variety in the songs?
Yes.
Yes.
So
All I wanted to get across with that is that this man has a lot of talent in him.
yes.
He knows how to write raps. He knows how to write post-hardcore with Broken, and then bringing drugs in kind of brings it all together. What I know roughly, but give me a take on each of the songs individually.
Right. So I see why you like it.
Fairweather fans, we're talking about first.
This is the rap one.
Yeah, the first
Yes.
one. Yeah.
So this one, like, I'm not a fan of rap,
No.
but that is because I see it when you're a very lyrically orientated person. When you're into that kind of thing, I can see why you really like it. I'm not going to argue that he's not a good writer because I don't think that. I do think he's a good writer.
Yeah.
It's just
But when there's nothing for you there,
there's nothing bringing me to this party. It's like I'm
get that.
not disappointed that this party's on. I'm just not going to go.
totally
you know?
get it. Yeah.
Like nothing else is happening. It's just him going, I'm sad, which is every metal song ever. But at least there's other people in the background normally, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm there for them, but they're not there.
So then Broken.
So this was.
Do you see why I like the chorus for this one? The
Yes,
one with
I
the
do.
astronaut as the.
Yeah, I did like that image. That was nice. Once again, I think it's like the rap version of a metal song. Like it's very lyrically orientated. It's all about the singer. Like I would argue that
You
in
can
his
tell it's written by
entire
a singer, can't you?
yeah, his entire career is about him,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing. It's
Right.
just like I'm there for a band, not a singer.
That's fair.
Like instrumentally, whilst the underlying tone, like when he's like, because he's hitting the variety in tone, which is I think what you're trying to illustrate is these points is that he's doing like this and this and this, but it's like musically when he's got backing people behind him, they're fundamentally the same every time.
Sure.
Like they're just there. And it's fine. They're there to fill out his background, to
This
finish
isn't-
his stage, not to be a part of the band. If you know what I mean.
To clarify as well, this isn't Leia saying the musicians that he's working with aren't
No,
talented.
no, it's not about them,
No.
and that's fine.
Yeah, just to clarify
Yeah.
that, we absolutely think the people who are working there are talented to pull
Yeah,
this stuff off.
it's just not about them.
Yeah.
Which is how it is sometimes. It's quite often when you get into a lot of massively famous artist people, that like it happens all the time that you have people that are just supporting you to achieve your vision. Like when you've got that kind of personality, it makes sense. I can imagine, like particularly down to his friction with Escape the Fate when he's with other people that are also really headstrong, creative, like they want creative control and they want it to be about them as well, that you just butt heads. And these projects seem like better projects for him. Like,
And that brings us to Drugs, their most recent song. Actually, they have a more recent one after this, but I haven't listened to it very much.
oh,
So.
there we go. Well, we'll stick at this one then.
Yeah, so what do you think of Drugs? It is a controversial song for some reason, because I don't like it.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me,
Yeah.
usually.
I like Corey Taylor's part.
Corey Taylor's part is very good.
And you know what? I like his raps, actually. I think his lyrics are really good in them. I was told recently that Ronnie Radke's flow isn't good. I maintain in this song, he does a really good job. I think his flow is excellent. But I don't like the hook and the chorus. I don't really know what it means. Everybody's on drugs. Bloopity bloop, bloopy bloopity bloop.
Yeah, there is a lot of that sound in the background, isn't there? Lots of nice twinkly little beeps.
This seems to be the way that a lot of mid-tier / lower tier metal bands, and by mid-tier I don't mean in terms of quality, I mean in terms of
Size.
how they are being, like how involved they are within metal.
Full on, yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon are my example for this. They seem to be moving towards a more electronic mixed with
Yeah.
guitars sound,
Yeah, they're
right?
totally in that bag. Yeah, they're trying out the whole...
So to me,
know.
this seems to be the next trend, if you will, in
Yeah, I would really say that he does follow the trends as they come and go. Like, Escape the Fate was just, like, real emo stuff, and then it was Fallen in Reverse, and then he's taking Fallen in Reverse down all the different trends.
Yeah.
They're just coming along with him this time, you
Yeah.
know? And that's cool, do you, boo? Again, like, I'm not... Right, I don't dislike him, particularly, but I don't like him either.
That's
Like-
fair. You don't have to like people.
Like, I think... but I feel about him like that kind of across the board with what I know of his musical career, with his lyrics, with his background, with his life background, his actions and events. And that's just how kind of how I feel about him. Like, that's... I'm glad you're trying to be the best person you can be, but I don't want to be involved in your process. I'm just glad that you're doing you.
And by comparison, I'm also very glad he's trying to be the best person he can be, and I would love to meet this guy.
Yeah,
I would love
bet
to
you
write a
would.
song with him. I think he's so interesting. And maybe I'll show you a live video in a bit. We won't do it on the podcast. But he's got such a charisma and a presence to him that you can't help, especially as someone who is, admittedly, vocally oriented. Can't help it.
Well, you obviously, the way you're inclined is not up to you.
Yes. It's part of how I was raised. So, yeah, I think he's great. I don't particularly care for drugs that much because I think the hook is kind of bad, but I'd be interested to see where they take this. Prove me wrong. And all the other albums, I actually regularly listen to Coming Home, the 2017 post-hardcore album. I listen to a few songs off of Fashionably Late, but not a lot. And I don't actually listen at all to Falling in Reverse's first album. It's to Escape the Fatey for me. It doesn't define itself.
Not such a fan of Escape the Fate?
It just doesn't appeal to me in my current mindset, let's say.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to say that. There are times where I have situations in a playlist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's in my driving playlist because it's a fucking tune that I love when it comes on shouting situations at the top of my lungs. So,
I know, because you do that in conversation, in life,
yeah,
really.
It's just a funny thing.
Like, if anyone ever uses the word situations, even mid-sentence, you will exactly, like that. That's what you do all the time. Like, people think things like these are a joke for a podcast. No, this is what it's actually like.
And you know what? It's not even a good meme because no one else gets it. So
if they weren't in that era of Wild the Best, they don't know. Like...
Yeah.
And the maybe 2 gigs that we played with that song in the set list.
Yeah. Not a great song for our set lists.
No, it wasn't. But it was very funny to practice it for a while.
So, that brings us to the end of the main section of the podcast and onto my favourite section.
Oh, yeah.
From under the underground comes the underground.
Every time you say you seem to pussy out halfway through, like,
Well, you know, it's definitely a title.
It's a title and a half, and I enjoy it.
This week, we're talking about a band whom, now full disclosure here, I know them personally. I've played a gig with them. I actually played a gig with them, thought they were amazing live, and
You have been listening
Leia.
to them since, haven't you?
Yeah, I do listen to them. So, this is slightly biased in the sense that I've met them, they're nice men, and they play good music.
I mean, that always helps, doesn't it? I mean, like, you can say that it's a bias of me and people and them being nice. It's just when people are nice, you want to support them that little bit more, even if they are, like, actually good anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
so I do have, I have Dan, the lead singer, on Facebook. I was talking to him like 10 minutes before we recorded this, so he's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. And the band Furion, he gave us a little bit of a history, and my.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, goodness gracious. I don't really want to get into all of it, because the trouble with smaller bands is that their history is so much more personal than people who are elevated above us thanks to fame.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a band who are in the underground scene still, but basically they got really pretty big in Liverpool. They even got onto Kerrang Radio.
Good for them.
And they kind of got fucked over by their drummer, who got in a relationship, got married, and then, as these things happen, left the band and kind of left them without a driving force for a while. So Dan himself had been in a few bands. He'd even been in a Paramore tribute band, who were pretty good.
At one point in a Paramore tribute band.
Yeah?
Yeah, he
Was it
really
good?
hated it. No,
Oh
it was
no,
really
you
bad.
told me this, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then eventually found some amazing musicians, put them all together, and then got big enough to get fucked over, which
Yay! We've all been there. I mean, we really haven't, but still.
No, I mean, some of us definitely have been
Yeah.
fucked over, but regardless. So, Furion kind of kept going, and they're sort of making a bit of a resurgence in their local scene now and trying to push themselves back up again. Hopefully get bigger than they were before, which would be cool.
Would be cool.
And we're going to listen to one of their songs, which, if I'm not mistaken, is in one of my playlists on my phone.
Oh,
It's in my winter playlist. I'm showing it to Leia now as
Yeah.
proof. Showing it through that little hole
Yeah.
that she's got one eye through.
It's like a little letterbox you just posted his phone through. You've got to trust that I'm going to post it back.
She has, it's alright, I got it back.
Yeah.
So the song that we're going to listen to is called Stay Home. It's my personal favourite. Maybe they don't agree that this is the one I should be showing, but they didn't give a recommendation, so I'm putting on what I want.
From experience, even when you do give us a recommendation, we're probably just going to listen to basically everything you've made because you're a small band and then pick for ourselves anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
it's easy enough too when it's a small band.
yeah. When you've got 4 songs out, it's real easy.
So anyway, we're going to listen to Stay Home by Furion. Here we go. That was the Liverpool-based band Furion with their hit single Stay Home. What do you think?
Yeah, it was pretty good actually. Like, so that was the first time I'd heard it, which I tend to try and listen to these a little bit more in advance, but I didn't this time. I didn't have time, but I was less drawn out by the melody section in a way. Like, obviously I tend to prefer the rhythm section anyway, but I did actually really like what they were doing, like particularly in the verse and things, like the drum beats were just quite nice.
Really?
It's creative. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not expect that to be what this band was, to be honest with you, and I did enjoy it actually.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't either. We played at a charity festival with them, try and raise money for homeless persons, and we played before them, and we were quite different to everyone who played before, and then these guys were even more different. But what was really notable to me was that we played to a virtually empty room. Furion came on. People in Liverpool clearly knew them.
Okay.
They filled that fucking room.
Good for them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is awesome, and particularly for a charity event as well. You just like to see it, don't you?
Exactly. So I wish they'd arrived early for our set, but hey, but Furion were nice to us. So I can't recommend them enough. They actually are in a couple of my playlists on my phone. I hope that's nice enough praise to you guys. I don't do it with every band. I don't, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
As much as I have liked all the bands we've listened to so far, some bands speak to me emotionally, and that's how they get on playlists on my phone.
yeah.
And I really like this one. So I hope people listen to them, and I hope Furion are listening, and they don't think that we made a complete cock-up of this.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah?
I mean, I feel like that should count for something.
It should.
It was a surprise. Like, I'm not sure what I expected, but it really wasn't that, and it was a very good surprise. And yeah, I would also recommend that people just have a listen for no other reason. If for no other reason other than like, that's not what I quite expected. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I would... it's kind of a post-hardcore sound, kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I don't really know what genre to stick them in, what category we can mash them into.
Yeah, force you into the box.
But they're certainly not a metal band.
No, I wouldn't say they were.
No. But I just think beautiful melodies. Leia says cool rhythms, and I'll have to just say that she's right. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, so.
No idea. So yeah, go give them a listen. Go give Falling in Reverse a listen if you want to. But if you don't want to listen to Falling in Reverse or Escape the Fate, give Furion a listen. Just listen to them anyway.
And if you don't want to listen to any of those, then why were you here? So.
Yeah. Maybe just listen to us, which is very flattering, but you got better things to do, mate.
I know.
Shouldn't scare away our audience. Okay. I think that'll do it for this week. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm good now.
Yeah.
That was a good week.
We got a fun episode coming up next. We're going to do another versus episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be Ginger versus Gojira. So tune in. People don't tune into things anymore. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
Click play.
Yeah, have an internet connection and yeah.
Download. Do the things. And now, I've got a controversial statement. Should we keep uploading to Facebook in light of their recent horror? Should we keep using it, or should we abandon it entirely?
I actually don't know what you're alluding to.
All right, well, we'll talk about it off mic then.
Yeah, you might need to just grab that out.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week. No, 2 weeks from now. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye!
Bye.